Have you ever wondered how much different unique types of properties could earn on Airbnb? Well, in today's video, I'm going to be showing you inside some shipping container homes to show you exactly behind the scenes how much money they actually make as short-term rental properties. Now, this is going to be the first video in a series I'm thinking of making, exploring a bunch of really cool, unique types of properties, whether it's shipping containers or yurts or geodesic domes or A-frames or tree houses, and seeing behind the scenes on Airbnb, how much do they actually make, so that you can understand how much these unique properties make. And I personally just think it's really cool to see. So if you're interested in more videos like this, exploring unique types of properties and seeing how much they make on Airbnb, then let me know by liking this video right now and commenting down below to let me know that you're interested in videos like this one. Let's jump right in and let's start looking at some shipping container homes on Airbnb. Now, as you can see here, one of the cool things about Airbnb's relatively recent update in their user interface is that you can search on Airbnb's homepage specifically for different types of properties. Now, I think this is really cool because it allows you to search for all kinds of different unique types of stays, whether it's caves or barns or places at the top of the world or even islands. And so for this video, we're going to be specifically looking at containers. And what I wanted to do was look at how some of these properties were actually performing that showed up really well in the container section on Airbnb. These, in theory, should be some of the higher performing or top performing properties of this property type in order for them to be featured, and because of the fact that they're featured on this homepage here. So to start with, I picked this one here in Houston to give us a good idea. This is a pretty cool one. What I liked about this one too is that it was actually split into two different units, an upstairs and a downstairs. Houston, I think, is a solid market for short-term rentals overall. And so looking at this property, you can see this is for the downstairs unit. Now there's another listing, a separate listing for the upstairs unit as well. And you can see it's really nicely done. Now, shipping container homes is not something I've explored in too much depth. I've got experience with other types of auxiliary dwelling units or unique types of properties like domes and whatnot, but this one's quite cool. I don't have a good grasp of how much this would actually cost to build compared to building a more normal property, for lack of a better way of putting it. I would assume that the build cost would be pretty similar, but that you get some advantage of doing it with a shipping container in addition to just the coolness. But unlike other types of unique properties like a tree house or a dome, the finishing in here is really just up to par with what you would expect in a normal high-end home. So it's a really nice finishing. You've got all the modern amenities. You've got the kitchen, you've got air conditioning, everything else. So honestly, like really cool property. And let's go ahead and check out how much this property actually makes on Airbnb. So you can see I'm using AirDNA here to look at this property. I found it on AirDNA to see how much it actually earns. Now, in the last 365 days, last year, this downstairs unit has been available for 349 days of the year. The average daily rate over that time period is $210 a night. They had a 58% occupancy, so really lots of vacancy in the calendar. And the downstairs unit alone earned $42,000. That's pretty awesome. Now, pretty similar stats for the upstairs unit. You can see the occupancy was 4% higher, nothing really big there. Days available the same, average daily rate the same. So I'd imagine that their pricing strategy is pretty much identical for both of them. They're both 2-bedroom, 2-bath units by the looks of it. They can accommodate 4 people. This one made $45,000 in revenue, slightly higher occupancy. This one made $42,000, slightly lower occupancy. So altogether, they made about $90,000 in total revenue for the shipping container, which I think is pretty awesome, pretty cool to see. So that's an idea of one in Houston, or really two shipping container homes that are kind of stacked on top of one another in Houston, to give us an idea. Now, the next shipping container home that I picked was one further down on the list. So if we scroll all the way down here, you'll see that there's one in Joshua Tree, California. I was interested in this one because I just figured that Joshua Tree would be a really great market for a shipping container home because it's really just got that vibe of all these really cool, unique properties. Coachella happens there, so a lot of people go for that every single year, and people are really into these kind of cool, unique types of properties out in the desert in Joshua Tree. So based on that, I thought it'd be really interesting to look at the numbers on how a shipping container home in Joshua Tree actually perform. So this is a 3-story property. You can see I found it here on Airbnb and then found it on AirDNA. We can take a look here. One of the cool things I like is that they've got like a pool and a hot tub as well. So I suspect that this property will do really, really well. It's just really nicely done. It's got great amenities. It's in what has historically been a really solid market. And so you can see everything looks pretty nice. This is a really nice in my opinion as far as shipping container homes go. Really nicely done, really nicely polished. It's even got this kind of side bunkie here for an additional bedroom with a kitchenette. And I assume this could actually be split into 2 different units if the host wanted to do that. Now, surprisingly to me, this property only generated about $15,000 in revenue over the last 365 days. But when you look at it deeper, it was actually available for 58 days out of the year. So in those 58 days, essentially 2 months of the year, it generated $15,000. Now, the tough thing about this is that it's a little bit hard to tell because we don't know what 58 days this property was actually listed for. So it's hard to tell how it would do over an entire year. It's not as simple as just going, and this is a mistake I see people making all the time when they try to analyze properties, is that they assume that it'll just do $7,500 a month, and so we can extrapolate that out over a 12-month period. Well, what if this 2-month period was right around Coachella? Well, then maybe the rest of the year is going to be a lot more dead in this area. So I thought it was still really interesting that this property did as well as it did. $7,500 a month over 2 months for a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom place in the middle of the desert is still pretty darn good, but not really easy to tell exactly how well it would do over an entire year. Now, the last home that I wanted to look at was one that was way up here at the very top of the list. So this one's in Todd, North Carolina. And interestingly enough, North Carolina just tends to be this insanely good market for unique properties as well. We see a lot of tree houses, a lot of geodesic domes, and one of the things that was really cool about this one is I came across a little Easter egg that I'm going to show you guys with this specific property. So this is a property, it's a shipping container home. Let's take a look at it here. You can see this is probably one of the more pure, I would say, shipping container homes that we've seen so far, where it's relatively basic. It looks like it was done quite affordably. There's not a whole lot going on with it, but it's really, really cool. So you can see they haven't like done it up to the nines. It's relatively small. I would call this a tiny home. It's not like they've piled a whole bunch of shipping containers together and made like a full size proper house. Everything is relatively small, relatively compact. I would assume it's relatively inexpensive to build something like this, but they've done a really, really great job. Now, this property was super interesting because what was interesting to me is I went on AirDNA and I looked for it and I saw, wow, right beside it. So you can see that here is the shipping container, and then right beside it, there's this tiny cabin. And then right beside that, there's this geodesic dome with a little kind of fort there beside it. And I thought, well, that can't possibly be a coincidence that these very similar, all unique properties are right situated in the same area. And sure enough, when I checked in on them, they were all hosted by the same host. Guys, just want to take a quick break to say that for those of you watching who want to build cash flow and long-term wealth by purchasing Airbnbs and short-term rental properties, there's a link in the description down below for a free training that will walk you through my exact strategy for investing successfully in Airbnbs. The training walks through the 3 most important things that you need to know if you want to successfully buy your first or next short-term rental property. And again, the link is in the description down below for you to sign up completely free. When you sign up for the training, we're also going to send you our ROI analysis tool completely free so that you can analyze properties the right way and find properties that'll generate amazing returns. Again, the link to sign up is in the description down below, and both the training and the ROI analysis tool are completely free. So it's this couple that you can see here, Stan and Bree, that are basically hosting, it looks like they've got a plot of land and they've just put a few different types of unique spaces or tiny homes on this land and are now hosting them. And what I find super interesting about that is because they're hosted by the same people and they're in the same location, you can then see effectively which one just generates the most revenue, which one is the most popular out of these different types of unique homes. It's really rare to be able to see a good comparison as strong as this because there's all these other factors. You can compare a geodesic dome in North Carolina to a shipping container over in Waco, Texas, but you know, they're going to be different numbers because of the location and even different parts of the city. It's often, you know, they're going to be more spread out. And so it could be due to that. And then you've also got the host to consider. If there's different people hosting them, different people running them, then one could just be doing a better job than the other. But this is a really, really cool comparison to be able to do because they're right in the same area, they're right like within close proximity to one another, and they're hosted by the exact same host. So you can see the spread here. The shipping container did about $80,000 in revenue. It was available for 363 days of the year last year. 335 days of the year was this tiny cabin, and it did about $74,000. So it would likely do right around the exact same as the shipping container home would in the if it were available for the same amount of time. Now, the one that obviously blew everything else out of the water was this geodesic dome property. And so let me know if you want me to do a more detailed video on geodesic domes specifically as the next one. Again, just like this video. Let me know in the comment section down below if you want to know more about geodesic domes and how they perform on Airbnb. But this one here, let's take a look at it. It did $122,000 almost in revenue. You can see it was occupied 94% of the time that it was available at an average daily rate of $413. So quite a substantially higher average daily rate than either the other two properties, and still a higher occupancy rate as well. Now, what's interesting to me is that this one was actually only listed on VRBO, whereas another one was listed on Airbnb and VRBO, and another one just on Airbnb. So there is some variation there, but this is really cool. So what they did is they've got this geodesic dome with a little cabin beside it. So you've got your indoor space for your kitchen, your bathroom, etc., and then you go and sleep out in the geodesic dome. So I think this is super cool. I think it's a really, really great way to do the geodesic dome play, where you've actually got the creature comforts of a house, where you've got a kitchen, you've got a bathroom, you've got proper running water, you're not going in an outhouse, that kind of thing, but you've also got the really cool experience of the geodesic dome. So I think this is really well executed. Kudos to the host here for doing such a great job of all three of these properties. I am really, really interested. I think this is a really cool comparison that we can see. Based on what we've seen in this video, it looks like about $80,000 to $100,000 is roughly what you're looking at for a shipping container home in a good solid scenario. Now, certainly if you go above and beyond and turn, your shipping container place into a mansion, a shipping container mansion, you could presumably do quite a bit better than that. And if you have a shipping container home in the wrong location, you could certainly do a lot worse than that. But I just found it really interesting to see, and I thought that this comparison overall was also just super, super cool. So if you guys are interested in learning more about how other types of properties perform, let me know. If there's a specific type of property that you want me to do this type of video on, let me know in the comment section down below. I would love to do some geodesic dome stuff as well. And yeah, anything you want to know, let me know in the comment section down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure that you like the video and that you subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with the 2 new videos you post every single week. All that said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.